Hi, folks. Barrow.
Rookie mistake there and forget to unmute. I don't even know why it was, but it shouldn't have been muted. I don't know why. Anyway,
I thought this was Welcome to We Global Mime.
but hey, rookie mistake. Don't worry about that. These things happen. At least it shows that we live as we always do. Welcome to another episode of The Living Room on this Sunday. It's going to be a special Sunday as well. It's going to be great, fantastic. Really looking forward to this week's show. And welcome wherever you are in the world. Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. Hope you had a great week. If you haven't already, if this is your first time here, you're on the We Global platform, and this is The Living Room, a show where we just get together with other Caribbean people and just have good old Caribbean conversation about any and everything under the sun. So if you haven't already, hit like, hit share on this video, get all your friends and network in, follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram as well, and invite all your friends as well to be part of the show. So without any further ado, let's get to it. How are you doing, guys?
Yeah, man. Yeah, invite them. Let's have a conversation. Doing well.
You're doing well. Yeah. Oh, this is good.
Rookie mistake there, man.
Yeah. You know, listen, these things just happen all the time. These things happen all the time. But you know how it is. You know how it is. Once you're live, it's only a matter of time. Hey, Bernadette, once you're live, it's only a matter of time before something happened that, you know, caused you to think. But anyway, all is good. All is
good. We're doing good. At least I am. You're doing good, man.
I'm doing good, man. I start holiday on Friday, so I'm good now.
You're on holiday all night? No, since Friday.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just Friday gone. So the next 2 weeks.
You can talk all night in living room at night.
Hey, we could go 4 hours tonight and for the morning.
I would have to go. No, I just finished holiday. So.
You just finished?
Yeah, I had a week off. So back into work tomorrow.
Back into work tomorrow. Jeez, all right. Looking forward to it? You going to need the office or you staying home?
No. Not back in the office. I don't think I'll be doing that for a while still.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're still home full time?
Yeah. There's no real pull for us to go back in my department. So
that's good.
You taking the Olympics?
Yeah, watch a lot of volleyball, strange enough.
No volleyball. Mainly volleyball?
Mainly volleyball and athletics. Those are
who win the men's and volleyball? I don't even know. Are the women and volleyball? Who win?
Women's volleyball was USA. Easily, they played Brazil in the final.
I saw one where they nearly got knocked out by the Ukraine. Hey, Antor.
By Serbia.
That's good. Was it Serbia? But then who came from 2-0 down and then got it, and then I saw that one.
That was a good game. Then it was France who won in the men's.
France won the men's. Oh, not Italy?
Surprisingly. Yeah, I was very surprised by that.
They played Italy in the final, or was it?
No, they played ROC, Russian.
Oh, Russian. So Italy didn't even get to the final. That's usually their thing. Italy and US is usually between the two of them.
Yeah. Italy seemed to have come from nowhere in this Olympics, though, to sweep up quite a few medals, man.
But you see the press already beginning to dig up some stuff on this 100-meter run already.
Oh, dear.
Because he had a coach that was involved in some doping. Nothing to do with him. He's never been tested positive for anything, but no, the media want to know, hang on, this cannot be real. And I think it's coming from the US media.
Of course it will. That's usual.
You know, hey, Carol and Matt, how you doing? So you know how that goes. But it's good. The Caribbean did well too, Corbin.
Yes, indeed. You know, if you look at our alternative medal table, which we put out on We Global, because, you know, for us, the Olympics is a Caribbean affair. You see us there stuck in the middle of the table on 14 goals. And 29 medals overall for the Caribbean. But I thought we gave a fantastic showing at this Olympics, you know. And this is the kind of table that I would like to see in future, man.
I agree, but you know what they say? In time to come, I don't know. In time to come, there will be a Caribbean team at the Olympics. I think so. I don't know if a certain person that can come on now going to have something to say about that.
I am sure he just might.
I think that's going to be the case. You know, I think we can get that pretty soon. But look, we can jump straight into today. Straight into today. Look, so guys. A few weeks ago, we had the mighty Gabby from Barbados on, and he talked about Winsford Devine, and he talked about him being the greatest Calypso writer that there is and was. And we actually were going to do a show with Winsford Devine, and unfortunately, in between us sorting that out, he passed away. However, we thought, no, we're not going to leave that one he's still, for everything that he's done for the region, all the songs he's written, the people, and some of the songs, you're going to know the songs when we start to play a few of them. We need to still honor Winsford Devine as a Caribbean legend. And we're going to do that. And the best way to do that, guys, is to have some legends come and help us honor this legend.
Absolutely.
You guys think?
Absolutely. You know, you guys in the audience will know all these songs when we start to play them. But the truth is, sometimes the people who are the puppet masters who sit behind the scenes and do these things, you know, you never know of them. But
indeed,
it will be an honor to
indeed.
go through
and we can jump straight into a few of them, because some of these songs y'all gonna know, but y'all ain't gonna even know that the pen behind some of these songs was the great Winsford Devine. Let me start here. Let me just get it going.
Saltfish stew is what I like. So do. Give me day and night. I like your food, so don't find me rude. My favorite, I sure every man in here already eat it. Saltfish, nothing in the world sweeter than saltfish. English cod or local Bajan. Saltfish, it's sweeter than meat. When you out to eat, all saltfish sweet.
That's tune and a half. And check this one here. Oh, y'all gonna go, what? I didn't know that. But listen, he introduced this guy onto the stage by mastering this song. Wow. We ain't joking when we tell y'all some tunes, you know. Tunes. One more we can play before we bring in the guests. And this one was a big one.
Somebody to keep my company. Somebody good, somebody nice, somebody sweet, 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 sweet. I want somebody to love up, somebody to squeeze up, somebody to jump up, and everything will be Irish. I want somebody to have up in the party.
Listen, we ain't joking. We ain't joking
Yes,
today.
Amanda. Yes, Amanda.
You understand what I'm saying? Big tunes. And there's plenty more. But look, let me bring in our guest. We have the legend that is David Rudder and the legend that is Crazy. Mighty Gabby, he gonna come up pretty soon as well. But we going with these two first. It's gonna be an amazing show today. Let's bring these guys in now.
Yes, man.
Yeah.
Yes, man.
King
Gentlemen.
David, gentlemen, Crazy.
That's man. This is crazy here, man.
Good to have
How
you
we
here.
doing? How we doing, gentlemen?
Well, it's all right. We're doing fine. Crazy is crazy. So once crazy is crazy, everything is fine with the world.
It's true.
It's very true. It's very true.
You know, I met him for the first time yesterday. You know, David, the guy is a genius, man. Really nice guy. Really nice guy, man. So welcome, gentlemen. Welcome. And David, welcome back to the living room. It's great to have you.
Thank
and
you.
Crazy, welcome for the first time. Great to have you as well. And listen, those songs that we would have played, you know, would have resonated across the region for a long, long time. And David, if I can start with you first of all, as we look at Winsford's life and maybe where you first met him or first heard about him and the work that he was doing in Trinidad as you were coming through as a young artist as well.
Well, I just knew about him. I actually met him very late in life.
Mhm.
I just knew about him and his work and the kind of the vast, how should I say, the variety of his creation. You know, some he could take you up, take you down, take you all over the place with his lyrics and melodies. You know, I thought it fascinated by how could one man have so much gifts. You know, creatively. You know, it was always a fascinating thing. So I met him. Years later, I actually sang one of his songs.
Oh, really? Which one?
Memories, which is actually the greatest funeral song ever. You know, people talk about how great thou art and all these songs that people sing at funerals.
I'm with you, by Sparrow.
Memories by Sparrow. That was the things. You know, people don't think it's Sparrow, but that's him.
Okay. All right. Well,
We can play it. We can play that. We can play that a little bit as well.
Absolutely.
Indeed, that's a fantastic song.
It is.
And look, guys, David is gonna have to run out in a second. He's gonna come back, but he has to go do something and come back, something pretty important and come back. But did he influence your writing style or the way how you constructed your work and stuff as well?
No, I just have my own style, but I was just always fascinated by how other other creative artists think and how they feel, how they see things, you know. So it was also, I guess subconsciously, there must be some influence in terms of where I might see a certain situation in a song, you know. But I always followed my own mind, but at the same time registering what other people are doing. And like this man was so fantastic and fascinating that, you know, I'm sure that his songs and his way, his approach has influenced many writers, you know.
yeah.
Oh, Crazy had an issue there, so he's just gone off there just now.
Yeah. What I find really fascinating about his repertoire is the variety of it. You know, some of it is really, really deeply poetic, very reflective, and then he also has songs that are just there for party. You know,
but apart from the lyrics and everything, the melodies, you know, like if you take a song like Memories, which is a beautiful lyric, beautiful melody, then there's a next song, one of my favorites is Melodian Rhapsody, which
I love that song.
Say, what's that song about? It's really two lovers escaping from this crazy world and living in their own little space, you know, as Gypsy so called the best smart ever written. But you know, you listen to the song and say, Venus, here we come.
You know, I had to listen to that song like 6 times to figure out what he was saying, you know. And when I got it, I was like, oh.
An intriguing song. So that's the kind of variety. When you come from Memories, Too Young to Soca, have some, you know, it's just the man, just amazing, you know. Just very amazing.
I agree. And you know, as you say, since you start in with some good songs there ready, we might as well just bring it in there now as well and have a little listen to Melodian Rhapsody.
to blast off and begin the first interplanet flight. We are going to Venus in a little silver rocket tonight. Deep into space to another region to visit an alien civilization. To the world of love, searching for the perfect solution. Hello people, get ready to sing a Melodian Rhapsody.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Fantastic song, man. Fantastic song. I'm gonna jump off and help Crazy Mark, so I'm gonna let you continue next.
Yeah. And when you and the the circumstances under which he was writing, sometimes you think to yourself, wow, how has he been able to translate such passion into these songs?
Boy, it's amazing. Yes.
It is. And when I was doing some background reading on his life and recognizing, I never heard of him. I never heard of him growing up, but that's often the case with songwriters, isn't it? And I don't know if that's the case in Trinidad more widely, in that the people who are doing some fantastic work behind the scenes, they seldom are noticed.
Yeah, that's true. He actually started as a pan man.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Steel band,
Oh, okay.
So, but he was one of the people who you could see he clearly had his ears on the ground all the time.
Yeah.
Very aware of what's going on in the town and what's happening in society in the widest form, And he just reflected all these little ideas and suggestions and these poems that it's so natural to the Trinidad psyche. Every Trinidad is a poet. They talk of
Is that right? Is that true?
Yeah. Sometimes people, like I remember, I always point out that in my song, The Long Time Band, it was triggered by someone saying, "I go in and wine like I never christen." And it's like, all right, I will take that.
You did that. That's not gonna work.
And that was the catalyst for The Long Time Band.
Yeah.
Well,
so you said Winston, he started as a panist, as a pan player. Okay, that makes a lot of sense because you can hear a lot of the pan movement in his melodies.
Structures.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Interesting.
Awesome. Crazy, you're back with us?
Yeah, just how they come the connection here, boy. Computer people now. I don't know if it's the cut off, but I come back again,
That's good, man. That's good. Can't stop you. No. And I suppose with you, Crazy, why don't you take us back to the beginning? Because you had a very strong relationship with Winsford over the years, all the way through. Take us back to where you guys first met.
Yeah, well, no, I was his only friend here in the last days. Yeah, the night from when he got the two strokes. He got the 2 strokes in 1998.
Oh, wow.
And he couldn't play the guitar again. He couldn't make melodies again. Couldn't sing. His voice would leave him. So he called me and asked me to do his melodies because he had a lot of lyrics written out. So what he used to do is he used to send the lyrics to me and I used to put the melodies to them. Yeah, but we started. Well, I used to hear from him from before in the days of he had a friend of mine, a friend named Bolong. That's the fellow who used to carry him to Sparrow, carry him to Sparrow and carry him to other people who wanted songs to buy. And Bolong and me was friends. So I knew him from those days, but he never had no dealings with me. He wrote mostly for Sparrow, Francine, and other people, But the first time I did his work, the first time I did a song by him was like 28 years after when I was singing about 28 years after. He wrote a song for Designer, a song by the name of Penelope. Designer used to record with a company.
I know that one.
It's a song name, if you can't get a
woman, take a man. Yeah.
He carried that song. The Designer said he's not singing that song because people will call him a funny boy now, you know.
Okay.
So you can't just they say, well, let me give Baron it, because Lester put on the music, and the music was very nice. The song even ran second for the road match. So then they carried to Baron, and Baron said, no, not me, boy. People don't say it already.
People saying Baron too pretty already.
Yeah, Baron have on nail polish and all this kind of thing. So Baron's not doing that. So now they say the only man left, they say, look, let me go, nobody go dig no horrors at Crazy. Get Crazy it. And Julian called me, he said, look, boy, I have a tour. I think he'd give me like $500 to sing it. See, Crazy.
Okay.
And I find the music was so nice that let's put. If you can't get that romantic, I said, what you France? I end up singing the song, running second at road match, but I regret singing it. Because
why was that?
Fellas start coming at me. Fellas start saying I was good looking and I was nice. You know?
and you had good hair.
I ran second, but I went to Miami and I went to Jamaica to sing it with Bible Lee, and fellas were saying him Batty man. They was calling him that.
Right.
You know? So I say, I stopped singing the song. Because if you can't a woman, take a man, where is that? Yeah.
But when you listen to the song, though, you understand where it's coming from. Is a woman,
Yes,
the man want to rub up on a woman, the woman telling you, nah, I ain't about that.
But
if you can't find somebody to dance with, you dance with me, go get a fella.
Around Carnival time when people drinking, they don't listen to verse, they only listen to chorus.
That is true.
I like that.
That is true.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I am Winsford, you know.
So where did it go from there? Because you sang that song that he wrote, and then obviously y'all created a very close bond.
Created a bond there, you know. And then what the next year? The next year that was 1993, and the next year he called me home by him. Those days I said go home by him. He didn't have no COVID, and he had a song that he threw in a bin. You know, sometimes a writer like him, is when he writes a song, he find the song ain't good enough, you know, and he take that song and throw it in a bin. Is in a bin. I went for that song named This Is How. So this is how there's wine, baby. This is how. It's one of the big Carnival songs.
What? That's tune, man.
Yes. And I went in the bin and I pulled it back out. I said, Winsford, thing. He said, boy, that song, you know, good, man. I take it and I went by less than it. And it become a big hit for Carnival here in Trinidad.
So you're telling me that Winsford Devine nearly threw away This Is How It Is Wine?
A lot of songs progress too. Today, when I look around, because he wrote that song for himself, Progress.
Right.
And after that, he decided, I understand. I'm not saying that he give it a Sparrow. Sparrow didn't take faith no mind. You know, Sparrow take something else that he had there. 4 years after, that's what Winsford told me. 4 years after, King Austin came and heard it, and King Austin said, I want to sing that. And it become one of the greatest Calypsos of all time.
Of all time. I love that song. In your musings over the years, did you get a sense of an understanding of how he could come up with so many lyrics and so many different concepts and so many different melodies and stuff as well?
Yes, well, he leave a lot of things he would hear with me. You know. I am the only one that was working with him from 1998. He writes a lot of lyrics here, but I have lyrics here put down for him just to put melodies in. You know, look, next year we have one named Gordon Black. You know, Sandra was supposed to do it, but come and die too. So I can't sing it because I don't look like a. You know, it take a man with a look for a certain look to sing that kind of song. But I did the melody, and Sandra is singing it, so I'm looking for Gil to sing it because it's a big song. It's a song that will cause controversy with the Catholics. Because the Catholics was part of the slavery thing now. When you mention the Pope and the Vatican here in Trinidad, you're looking for controversy. But the Catholic population here big. So that song, I have that song here.
Just waiting for an artist for next year.
So next year, if it have Carnival. And we also have, you see that song you play with Marshall Montano? So that we also have that, but I sing in it. They say you're too old to Soca. Oh, yo, making joke. I should retire. They say if I come to a party, they say I got to be crazy. But tell them I feel into Soca. Look out for that one. Too old to Soca.
So how did he feel about that song in the early days of Michelle? Actually, what was his feelings about that one?
Yes, again a feedback. You hear me?
Mark, you feeding back a bit.
Okay.
Is Mark's mic?
Yeah, say it again.
No, I was asking, how did he actually feel about Too Young to Soca with Michelle? How did he feel about that song?
Something wrong with Mark. Something wrong with Mark singing. When he talking, it's singing jump.
Yeah, Mark, go ahead and come back in a second. No, Mark was asking how he felt about the Too Young to Soca song with Michelle. How did that come about? How did he? I heard Michelle talking about it as well, and he was very passionate in his thanks for the lyrics to that song and launching his career as well. How did Devine feel about that?
Well, you see, Marshall was young. Marshall had the talent. People didn't like, and Marshall went by the beats for song, because everybody was going by the beats for song around that time. I was 1986. Yes. And when Devine's heard him, Devine's only have to see a topic and you can write on it, just like In Time to Come. I mean, but in Time to Come, I told him, I said, Devine's America never had a black president yet. And that is all he heard. The man is such that, and he went one time and he put pen to paper and he write out four verses and give it to me and say, Crazy, put a melody to that and you have a classic,
That was a long calypso too.
Yeah. I used to do all his melodies for him. If you look now, you will see on all the things, you will see Devine's Iron, because both of us used to work together. He used to write all lyrics and I used to do all the melodies.
Oh, okay. Well, In Time to Come is one of my absolute favorite calypso.
Yeah, all where I go, people ask me to sing it. Anywhere I go.
Well, we can roll back the clock for you here now, because check this here now.
Yesterday has come and gone, leaving some of us to mourn. Times we had and friends we lost, and while nature took its course, we have seen the many faces of slavery. We have seen the British Empire fall. We have seen Hitler's contribution to history. We have seen the rise and fall of the Berlin Wall. We have seen famine. We have seen wars. As you well imagine, we have seen nothing yet, because in time to come, America will have a black president. In time to come, there's going to be an active world government. In time to come, the world will see human life cheaper than dirt. In time to come, from outer space aliens will land on the earth. Team Africa will win the World Cup. Marijuana will sell in the shop. Science will produce bread out of stone and then create the first human clone. Technology will reach a new high. Buses and cars will fly in the sky. Trinidad will make a nuclear bomb. In time to come.
Amazing, man. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Wow. Tell me about performing that song, Crazy.
Yeah, well, the first time I performed it here in Trinidad, I got some opposition, People didn't like what I was. When I said America will have a black president, people was doing me so. Because they say that will never happen. People, that will never happen. No black man ain't gonna be. They ain't gonna put no black man there in America with all these white people thing. And they even put me nearly last when I sang it there, because the judges and all didn't understand what I was saying. They say, "Oh, he's saying a black president." That sounds funny at that time now. That time it sounds funny. So they say I went out in the competition and they put me almost last for that. Yeah. But I said a black man will become president.
How long that song was?
2000. 21 years old.
Yeah, but how long a song was it? How long was it?
It was the oldest Calypso for the Calypso 10, because you cannot, in the competition, you only sing 4 verses. We have 23 verses.
23.
It was the longest Calypso. Look, they have a version of it display on the radio, but it only have 8 verses there. Right? It have 15 more verses. Yeah, anywhere I go, they ask me to sing that song.
But you ever sing the whole thing, 23 verses?
Yes, 23 verses. Because see, in the Calypso tent, I used to sing at Kitchener tent, and the Calypso review, and the Calypsonians and all used to get vexed with the manager, Jazzy Panty, and they say, "Oh, you could have Crazy singing so long. You know, we want to go and sing." But what happened is when the people call me back, I just sing a different verse. You know,
that's it. That makes sense.
I keep doing different verses. Yeah, Winsford wrote about 8 of the verses, and I did the rest. I started putting in local things. Like I said, I said Trinbago will have a woman prime minister. That didn't ever happen yet. Now look, Kamala came after that. Then I say a funny boy will win a big beauty pageant, and in Africa a few years after, a man went up in a beauty contest and win. He disguised as a woman. Well, you can remember that? African man in France win a beauty contest. He dressed up like a woman and beat everybody. It's after they got to find out that he had a penis, you know.
But I hope Trinidad don't build a nuclear bomb though. That one.
Trinidad, but I wouldn't know that too because these people here are so creative.
It's true. It's very true.
Barbados is a bit too close.
I said Team Africa will win the World Cup, and look at happened the last World Cup. Team Africa won the World Cup, which is France. All the Africans went to France. Yes, Team Africa will win.
That is true too.
I made you. That is very true.
It's only Africans on the France football team.
Yep. No, that is very true. So the relationship with Sparrow, because a lot of people probably wouldn't know. Well, maybe a lot of people in Trinidad do, but maybe outside of Trinidad, a lot of people don't know that Devine was actually responsible for a lot of Sparrow's early tunes, a lot of his early hits, some of the massive hits. We played Saltfish earlier there just now, but there are quite a few that we can play too, as well, that he wrote. How was that relationship? How did it get started? Do you know? Oops, he stopped. He stopped, unfortunately. But we said we're gonna play some Sparrow, so we might as well just do some of that there now to let y'all know. Because as I said, even for me, as I was going through this, and you know, you're learning and you're researching and what's not, you realize, what, Devine wrote that? Did he write that? Didn't even know. But check this here now.
Philip, my dear, last night I thought was you in here. Where did you go? Working for good old England, missing out all the action. My dear, do you know? There was a man in my bedroom, wearing your shoe, trying on the royal costume, dipping in the royal perfume. I'm telling you the truth. There was a man in my bedroom, anxious for a rendezvous, and I thought it was you. He big just like you, but younger. He thick just like you, but stronger. He lingy like you, but harder. He lily like you, but badder. A man in my bedroom, he came on the bed to do, and I took him for you.
Chung. But you think that was it? This one can blow up people's mind now.
The fat was crowded and she was tight. While I was grounded, she high and fly. White onion steel pan, blazing a charm. She turn, she bam, bam, lick down me pan. Don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, girl, don't do that. Don't back on me, don't back, don't back on me, don't back. Dancing with you, man, you only jamming down me pan with your bam bam. Don't do that, don't do that, don't look so healthy, jamming on me purposely. Darling, don't do that to me.
Man, tunes, fellas.
And it would be great to really hear the story behind the relationship, you know.
I definitely. Let me just try and get him back there for a sec, because I know I can see the guys in the chat going mad. So I just want to make sure that we get Crazy in for a lot of these stories, and then try and make sure we get Gabby too. So give me 1 sec, guys. Carry on, guys.
Yeah, man. I remember hearing a lot of those songs. You know, I can see Katie Joseph there in the chat saying, "Yeah, school frolic days." You know, because I think when you hear a lot of these songs, they just bring a certain memory. They just take you back to a certain time. But people don't go beyond the artist. Everybody will hear these songs and they will get as far as, well, most people will hear these songs and they will get as far as Sparrow. You know? And
yeah.
I know for
no, I think you're right, because they're, you know, I'm a bit of a songwriter as well.
Well, I was just going to say, in case people don't know, I was just going to say.
And I know it's like, because, you know, you take a long time to craft and work on songs, but quite often it's this person who actually sings that gets started the recognition. But you have your songwriter, you have the person who's creating all the actual orchestration and everything behind the scenes. And I think it's good that we get a chance to highlight somebody who was not, let's say, sort of the front man for most of these songs.
Yeah. And not just someone who wasn't the front man, but, you know, someone who stayed at the top consistently for decades.
He had a longevity. You know, he was writing, you know, he went from all back in the 60s, 70s throughout, still composing. And I remember when Gabby was on and he talked about how many songs he wrote, how many pieces of poetry he wrote, which just taught me the lesson that, you know, if you want to become excellent at anything, it's not just a gift. It's always turning up and doing it. Some of it you're going to throw in the bin and some of it you will keep. But it's actually continuity, just practicing and getting better. And after you write one song and it's a hit, it doesn't mean that you rest on that success.
You have some of those days of throwing stuff in the bin? Or are you still having some of those days?
I have a lot of unfinished pieces of poetry and songs all around that I've not recorded. Yeah, sometimes when you look back at them, you say, that was good, but it could be better.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Well, look, let's remind ourselves of what Gabby said, actually, when he was with us in the living room.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I don't want to veer too much, but I understand this. I let it go down history. The best Calypso writer in the world is in Trinidad, a Trinidadian, and his name is Winsford Devine, whom we call Joker. I have studied his work. I've studied Merchant. I've studied all the writers. Devine is the best Calypso writer in the world. I say that because of this.
Wow.
When I examine his lyrics, his melody, the way his chord structure and all that, he is just brilliant. Merchant is there too, but Devine, all them songs you like by Baron, Devine wrote. I want somebody to hug up, somebody to love up, right? I mean, any that you could think of. Devine. In fact, it's easier to call the singers in Trinidad that Devine did not write for than to call the ones he wrote for. Because this is not a joke. About 6 or so years ago, I went to Trinidad. I went to look for Devine. And we were talking, and so I feeling proud now. I told him, boy, you know, I got 1,200 songs. That time I was up to 1,200 songs. I said, man, I wrote 1,200. He said, Gabby, that's good, man, but I wrote over 6,000, you know. I said, how much? Yeah, man, I get my son to thing it and when he done tally up, man, is over 6,000. So I said, what the ramba? Where you find time to write 6,000? People asking me where I find time to write 1,200 songs. Where he find time to write 6,000?
6,000.
Right? And I mean no joke songs, you know. I mean songs like Capitalism Gone Mad and brilliant songs. Fill up my dear, last night I thought was you in here. Where did you go? Right? He wrote for Sparrow. He wrote for Sugar Aloes. He wrote for Francine. He wrote for Denise Plemmer. He wrote for Marshall Montana. Marshall first song about they say I'm too young to
Soca.
The making
tune. Devine. I bow to Devine as a writer because I mean in terms of if you put my poetry and my songs together, you're looking at over 3,000, right? But this man as a writer, I got lucky in that I was able to sing mine at a high standard, if I may say so myself, and perform it, right? Not just sing, but perform. But as a writer, exclusive. We ain't got nothing in the world better than that, man. Because when I examine his stuff, I mean, I said in the world, you know, because when you look at his work, and he says, you got to be a millionaire or some kind of petty bourgeoisie anytime you're living here in this country. So many bills to pay. There is no conceivable way to save for a rainy day in this country. I mean, how you going to get past that? How you going to surpass that? Right? And that's the standard that he brought to us all the time.
Yeah, man, that was a fantastic tribute there by the mighty Gabby from Barbados, you know. It was fantastic. It's fantastic. I see Crazy trying to get back in, but his video isn't on as yet, but he'll be back pretty soon. That's what. And Gabby mentioned a couple of songs there just now. And I think, because again, you know, we keep saying that I have a feeling that a lot of people don't know the pen behind some of these songs. But listen to this.
Philip, my dear, last night I thought was you in here. Where did you go? Working for good old England, missing out all the action. My dear, do you know? There was a man in my bedroom, wearing your shoe, trying on the royal costume, dipping in the royal perfume. I'm telling you true. There was a man in my bedroom, anxious for a rendezvous, and I thought it was you. He big just like you but younger, he thick just like you but stronger, he lingy like you but harder, he lily like you but badder. A man in the bedroom, he came on the bed to do, and I took him for you.
Not only that, but this one too.
To be a millionaire or some kind of petty bourgeoisie anytime you're living here in this country. You got to be in skullduggery, making you money illicitly to live like somebody in this country. It's outrageous and insane, them crazy prices in Port of Spain, and like the merchants going out their brain, and the working man like the only toiling in vain. Where you ever hear a television for 7,000, $250,000 for a piece of land? A pair of sneakers, $200, 80,000-90,000 for motor cars. At last, here in Trinidad, we see capitalism gone mad. It's sad and getting more bad because capitalism gone mad.
Man, amazing tunes, amazing songs. Fantastic songs.
Yeah,
fantastic songs, man.
And the lyrics. I love that one with Philip, my dear. Yeah. I didn't think it was singing to me, of course,
or about you.
About me. Yeah, it's everything. Like, we man know me. But it's great how he captured. I don't know if you watched the throat. What's it called? The what is the name of the series? The Crown.
The Crown. Okay.
Yes. If you watch The Crown, they have that scene when there's the man that turns up in the Queen's bedroom. He's captured that moment really well in his song. I think that's something that we really need to cherish a lot more in the Caribbean. I saw Carlo was saying that he didn't only entertain, but he educated. Capture moments in history from a real Caribbean perspective and using our style of poetry and song.
Yeah, man. You're back, Corbin?
Just checking.
A little bit of vibration there on your thing there.
Okay.
A little bit of feedback there, so you think, don't worry. These things happen, folks.
There's actually Mark, not the robot Mark.
I had to change my microphone because it looks as though something going wrong with it. So hopefully this is okay. But let me know, guys. Let me know if you can hear me all right.
Mute the TLR page. That's the one that's feedbacking. That's causing the feedback for you there now. So that's good.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. All good?
All good there now. Much better. The feedback. Yeah, man. I saw someone say that you should study some of these lyrics and stuff. I agree, because I listened to so much of his songs over the last few weeks, and it just got me. And a lot of them might have been written in the same space of time, in the same year. A lot of the songs came out for different artists on different topics, lots of different melodies and what's not. And it was just mind-boggling how many of them there were, and how different they were as well. Some of the melodies are just amazing.
I think the thing that fascinated me a lot with him was I read somewhere that he was writing like 40 songs a season in the 80s. And when you think about how could somebody possibly write 40 songs in a season? Going across topics from serious social commentary to soca to road march, it just seems so extraordinary.
Yeah. That's the thing there. It was. I just can't understand it, to be honest with you. And I think that's the genius. And I think that's the fact that all of us saying we can't understand it, and even people that you're seeing in the chat saying the same thing. I think that's just the genius of the man over the years and over the longevity as well, because he would have been around say the birth of say soca, not just calypso, but soca as well, and writing in that genre as well about all kinds of different things. I see Crazy's trying to get back in. Crazy, your videos are on, so you might want to try that.
Mm-hmm. I suspect one of the things about, and I think Gabby and David did mention it at some point in time, that he didn't actually lock himself into a genre. Because if you lock yourself into a genre, you can run dry. But if you say no, there are various genres and they can feed into any of them. That way he remained relevant. He could experiment and innovate and try different things as well. And actually, I saw Michael Cornbach was asking if I had a chart. If I had planned before, I would have had one, but I didn't. I don't have one, Michael. Sorry.
The interaction between lyrical arrangement and rendition and the impact of society. That's what you there, Phil.
So I don't have a chart for today. But yeah,
but Cornbach, been watching this show for a long time.
Yeah, But there is that interplay between where society going and songwriting as well. They influence each other.
No, I agree. Even me trying to dabble a little bit with songwriting and thing, but I think the genius that you see with him is just how the different the phraseology of the melodies, the intricacies of the melodies as well. They just flowed off your tongue. You just wanted to continue singing whenever you hear any of these songs,
Yeah, that definitely comes from his pan playing, because the melodies are very much like the flow of the steel pan.
No, I 100%. But one of my favorite songs, one of my absolute favorite songs is this one. Let me just share this one here with you guys.
In the beginning, by the sixth day morning, the whole creation was given birth. And then God made man and give him dominion over every living creature on the earth. Tragedy in the garden, we all know it happened. Shamefully banished from Eden, we witness the curse, paradise lost. And since then it's Mother Earth who end up paying the cost. That's why I'm begging, Mother Earth is crying. She said to stop the polluting. Oi, oi, oi. Mother Earth is dying. We got to stop the polluting. Oi, oi, oi.
Another fantastic song, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Another extremely fantastic song by Baron. I don't talk about Baron. Baron voice. Come on, man. Seriously. I don't think I heard someone with a voice like his since, to be honest with you. I mean,
Yeah.
I know some people would say she got allos, but of course he dispute that and say, you know, he don't sound like the Baron. Another one of my favorite songs. I don't sound like the Baron, so pay close attention. The Baron don't sound like me. Another song that I absolutely love. Not that I sound like the Baron either, but the songs just kind of just so fitted in Baron's song Somebody, and then this one Mother Earth as well.
Yeah, but what I like is just with Baron's voice is almost that sort of spoken voice. You know,
You can't replicate it.
Yeah, you can't tell the difference between if he's speaking or singing, you know.
Yeah, I wonder what he sound like when he's talking. Actually, that'd be interesting to hear.
Yeah, but it's the longevity of that.
Yeah, he got some amazing stuff. But Mark just trying to sort out his he having some microphone issues there. We're trying to get back Crazy as well, and you know David gonna come back in a little second. I'm not sure if Gabby coming, but look, guys, we honoring Winsford Devine as he deserves to be honored because he's a fantastic son of the soil in Trinidad, obviously, but a real gem to the rest of the region as well, and one that we need to celebrate. And I think if anything that folks really are beginning to see the depths and the breadth of his work, because I'm sure some of the songs you guys probably didn't even realize that he was the pen behind them, which is another conversation I suppose you can have in the region, which is recognizing the songwriters, because very often we don't recognize the songwriters.
I feel a lot of that has to do with school system as well. You know, if you think of all the stuff we were studying in literature itself, you know, we did do a few books and so on, but when it came to poetry, a lot of the poetry we would have studied in literature was European. You know, we didn't do a lot of what's going on in the Caribbean, and every now and then we'd have a Caribbean poet come in and so on. But all our Calypsonian songwriters, our Calypso songwriters, our local songwriters are poets as well.
True, Carol.
So I think there's a need to have that in education, that there's that honoring and that study of the craft. And by the craft, not a lot of times people think the craft of Calypso is the performance, the end product, but the craft is the entire production line from the time of what influences the song, and how do you go from an influence to a concept? You know, how do you go from a concept to an image? How do you go from an image to a structure? How do you go from a structure to lyrics? And how do you go from lyrics to melody? Or how do you go from a melody to lyrics? Because you might actually have an image that's a melody as well, and the melody is already telling the story without the lyrics. But you know, I think there's a need for that embrace of the art, even within education. I know there's a lot of work going on in at least in music as well, but it still feels sometimes that it's treated as a niche as opposed to a foundation.
Well, but again, I mean, it's something that we always say all the time, right? Is the attitude that we put towards what is ours and towards the arts. in general, of which you would put Calypso and stuff in there as well. Well, welcome back there, Carmen.
I'm frightened to talk.
Yo, you're so much better there now.
That is not you.
This is true, man.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
He walked straight into that, man. No, I agree. I mean, and even so, as you say, we see Calypso as just the performers, the Calypsonian, but the arrangers. I mean, you got Less Than Paul and many others across the region. You know, in Barbados, you know, Eddie Grant does a lot of stuff. You got John Ruitt and some others who do some good stuff. Nicholas Branca, people across the OECS as well who do a lot of fantastic arranging, but don't necessarily always get the credit. You know, and I think that's why it's important we're doing what we're doing here today, and perhaps I hope educating a few people as well as to the favorite songs that they may have liked, whether it be from Sparrow, from Baron, from Crazy, from Sugar Aloes, from Singing Francine, or what have you, to realize actually a lot of those songs came from one man, and that's Winsford Devine.
I like this point that Dexter Rose, how you doing, Dexter, is making on screen here. I think this is really interesting because it almost goes back to the clash of personalities and who wants to be seen as the front man and who wants to be seen as important in the chain. And perhaps there's a cultural issue at work that Dexter is absolutely right in flagging there, that actually overall it is the artist, the performer, that people build their relationships around. And it seems as though it is something in our psyche culturally, which is really interesting point, actually.
I think it goes back to even if you think about, because Calypso, if you go way back, it was kind of like clashes, right? Who has the best lyrics? So traditionally it's born of, you didn't only deliver it, but you wrote it, you came up with it, it is yours. If you think of a lot of stuff within our culture, and I mean even in the Black culture, if you think about Jamaican dub clashes, same thing. It's almost somebody write for you? Nah. Yeah. And then that carried on into North America, because a lot of people don't realize that rap music and the clashes was actually born out of dub music and that culture. And it's the same thing there where people, I mean, if you think about big stars like Drake and that kind of stuff, to hear that he doesn't write his own stuff, that's a huge thing. So the culture of the Calypsonian writing their own stuff is still very much, already back then, was still very much the thing. And maybe that's why he didn't get the credit that he really deserved. And a lot of people didn't know that he wrote the song.
Yeah, and it will be interesting to see whether or not it changes for future generations, because songwriting done properly can be a seriously sustainable career, as we know. But too often, perhaps in the model that we have, you got to stay in the background because this is about the performer, this is about the person on stage, this is about the personality. So it doesn't really encourage the whole songwriting ethos to come through and for people to see it as something as attractive, because culturally we want to see people, we want the people to be known. If you're not there, we don't want to know.
The thing is, it's still very much so today, and I think it's just a historical thing, what people might call classic Calypso and classic battling and what's not. You had to be the man that come up with your own lyrics. So to even admit that someone else wrote for you was just a no, because because it meant you came down.
Yeah,
you're not a complete artist.
No, you're not a real artist, right? And what's not. But again, like Mar, I agree. Today, especially with the potential, and this is something where the Caribbean region got to catch it too, the potential for royalties. You know, you got Cot in Trinidad, you got Cosgap in Barbados, you got Jassap in Jamaica, and you got the others as well in the OECS and Guyana and what's not as well. But recognizing the songwriter could be a way that generates income, generates royalties that people can live. I mean, these are some massive hits.
I mean,
that he wrote.
This man's repertoire should be feeding his family for the next 75 years in copyright. Easily.
Because I went on, I do searches on Spotify, on Amazon Music. I look at Apple and stuff as well, and all these songs there,
Yep.
All these songs there. So somebody getting paid.
Somebody.
You understand? And I'm sorry, Crazy drop off, because I know he's very passionate about this point, especially as it relates to Winsford Devine as well, and perhaps the circumstances that he was in at the end, and what's not, because a lot of guys become, I don't want to say wealthy. I don't know if wealthy. I can't speak from my pocket, but extremely popular, let's say, off of his pen. And it doesn't seem, and I was reading a book as well where he was saying, he was not necessarily as, lucky to work with some guys who were nice. And I don't know who those are. He would have to say it himself for himself. But, so it would appear as if, he wrote, but he didn't necessarily get the due, not just in recognition, but also in monetary compensation,
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to really look at this honestly, Winsford is one of many who, he's up there in terms of stature. That is the standard. That is how you do it, right? But there's so many of them over the years, songwriters, performers, who always seem to have a sad end. And this is what is constantly kind of saying to me, this Caribbean model isn't quite right. We are highly talented, highly skilled. When it comes to culture, I don't believe anywhere in the world can match us. But this structure where our artists, our songwriters always seem to end or come to the end of life in a very sad state is worrying and has rolled on from one generation to another.
So my feelings on this, Mark.
Go on then.
I always talk about it. That I just feel as though when it comes to art and culture and so on, in the Caribbean, we get placed into working in an industry and trying to create a market that we don't really feel is not our heart. So the industrialization and the profit making of music isn't really the heart of a musician and a poet and so on. There has to be something. There's always something deeper than making money and making profit when it comes to music and art and poetry and songs and so on. And so it's really hard for an artist to switch that mindset of how do I make money from this? And I can't think of many artists who have that. And I think this is where you actually need to have business minds walking alongside artists and working alongside people who really care about making money.
Not just business minds. I think this is where you need infrastructure, because a lot of artists may not be interested in making money, but because of the infrastructure in play where they are, whether it be registering their works and ownership, they might not be interested in making money, but they're very keen to make sure that ownership is ascribed to them.
So I would change that. They're not driven by making money. They're interested in making money, but it's not the driver for.
Well, I think that's true. That's true. But again, it's still the same thing. I think that's where now the infrastructure comes into play.
Yes.
Because, lots of fine arts people, whether or painters and musicians and what's not, may not be interested might be driven by it, but they want to get their works out there. So they might put it on Spotify or what have you. And the pillars and structures facilitate now them being able to make a living, to continue to do what they love, whether or not they're driven by it, interested in it, or what's not. And that's something that's really, really lacking in the region. Still lacking it today.
Well, we have to get people to realize actually there's nothing wrong with making money from art. We start on the premise of exposure. That's where we start, right? We want our stuff to be out there. We want people to know who we are. We want them to engage with what we've created, exposed. We want to be exposed and the world to know what we're doing. Where we don't, the next step is about monetizing the exposure. And that's the bit that we often kind of tread very cautiously with. And to me, it feels as though, hey, we've been around this thing now for 70 plus years doing music properly in the region. Why haven't we broached that step of this is no longer just about exposure? It can't be. Exposure is important, absolutely, but this has to be about bringing something back to the creators. And it feels like we are a little bit afraid, perhaps because of the background that we come from. We are not interested in the monetization up front, so therefore we don't ever get to that point of being interested in the monetization. But it's important.
It's important, but it goes all the way back though to mindset. If your mindset is that you value something, then you would start to put the necessary building blocks in place to ensure you
can continue doing it,
that people can continue doing it. How long have we seen governments across the region talking about, oh yes, every time elections come, I'm sure you hear it in Trinidad, oh, we're going to put some copywriting legislation in place to ensure that our artists and election come, election gone, you hear, oh, these things take time, all this sort of nonsense and that kind of stuff, because mindset is this isn't important. This isn't good, and this comes, and another thing too, because it comes back, is something I really wish Gabby was on as well as Crazy, because I really want to ask that question, because when it comes to Calypso and Soca and our art forms in the region, not necessarily dub or reggae, but definitely Soca, Calypso, then the question comes is, we always have this conversation, is competition seen as the way of monetizing? And therefore we haven't gone beyond the competitions as yet. So you see people not releasing music until it's carnival or until it's crop over,
because they feel they have to hold it close.
They gotta hold it. So apart from probably saying Marshall is probably one of the only people I see Lego music anywhere, but he understand it, right? And he doing something different. But everyone else record and release for crop over or for carnival. So that's an interesting thing there as well. So it doesn't allow us to build the pillars. What is this?
Michael Cornbach want me to sign a contract.
We don't have the money. That is a fundraiser. They can't give any fundraiser money.
And I must admit,
but you see, we laugh. We laugh. If I go ahead, Phil.
No, I would say I must admit. I know, I used to play organ at weddings as a teenager and so on.
I know, I sing you once, man.
In fact, you played that my wedding, if I remember correctly.
I did. But anyway, for quite a few weddings, I just did it. I just turned up and played. I remember one where there was this isn't anybody that y'all know, but yeah, it was promised to be paid, and after I played, did that and everything, did it well. Never heard from the guy after.
Wow.
So it is really a problem.
Yeah, because you're just the organist fella, play some music.
Yeah. Don't care about all the amount of hours that I put into learning how to play, that sort of thing. People took it for granted I would turn up and do it. And I think
you do it for free.
And I was doing it for free, and I enjoy doing it. That's a real challenge, because passion is the sort of thing that the actual payment for doing it is doing it, right? That you do, but you have to be very careful with passion sometimes, because it can stop you doing what you really enjoy doing.
Agreed. But let me put out one more here, so guys, because I know people loving the conversation, but really and truly people want to understand what other songs Winsford Devine, right? Check this one.
Inside the party, she tell the MC, call your mother come. He try to make she hush, but she tell him, call your mother come. What happened to you, Paul? You were talking to Paul. Your mother come from America. Call your mother come. Call your mother come. Call your mother come. Call your mother come.
That is a tune. That is a tune.
Indeed.
You know what I mean?
No,
Love that song, man. Love that song. Again, Winsford Devine, big hit. Big hit, you know.
And you know, you repeat that over and over and over, which is the sad part of his part of his legacy. All these big tunes, man. But you know, this note to live on properly. And you know, Dexter is shot this afternoon, man. Making some fantastic points. Yep.
No, but it is true. And it'd be great to have the views as legends like Gabby and David Rudder and Crazy as well. You know, the question is, are competitions actually killing the art form? Don't know. It's a question to ask, I think.
Or is the question, are competitions alone?
Because of course.
Because there doesn't seem to be another way of weaving the art form into the culture rather than the competition tends to be the pinnacle of the experience, you know, or so that they're just seasons as opposed to having ways of how do you take this art form and weave it into the culture, you know, where musicians are able to reflect on things that are happening, to how the culture is developing, the day-to-day, even the mundane things.
So I can
not just wait to the competition. Yeah.
No, I agree. I can be controversial too, because I think sometimes even us as a people in the region, not just the entertainers now, because we like things free. So we ain't helping them either. You know, a lot of these, you know, a DJ friend and they get a CD and they burn it. Well, I don't know if they do burn CDs anymore. They just send you something, send you files.
Just
and they say, hey,
files, buddy.
You got the songs for the season? Send it to me, man.
Yeah.
You know, and they can get them that way. And then you go across the circuit, whether in North America, in the UK, all across Europe, in the Caribbean, we don't buy our people's music.
No,
you know,
no.
So there's a whole thing that needs to happen there as well, even for us as a people to do our bit to support our artists as well. So there's that.
And that's where the educational element of this now has to come in, because I almost think actually you're not going to change a lot of the veterans in this dialogue. They are established, well set, and the focus here now has to be on the transition. How do you get, you know, younger artists and those who are going to be artists and songwriters of the future to understand there is a pathway that you guys need to follow. There is a particular structure that you need to go along. That's where we got to put our focus and attention. We're not going to change the guys who are well established, well set, happy to throw their MP3s around every season, and they're cool with exposure. That is it. That we got to go beyond that.
No, I agree, and I think Michael said it right there. We pay everybody else, but then when it comes to the artists, they say, you could give it for free.
You want to play the food?
You know, but exactly. But that is the thing, you know, because the artists need to train the behavior, right, as well, where that is concerned. And don't throw about your music all over the place, you know, like that, where everybody just get it for free. But again, I think if we are culturally aware and we take it serious, you know, we would defend our culture against anybody coming from outside. But then when it comes to us saying, well, okay, well, let's put our money where our mouth is then, rather than accept the file coming on email, because you don't have to accept it, go and buy the man music. Subscribe to a subscription music service so that when you play, he or she gets paid, sorry. That kind of stuff, you know. Don't just wait for it to come on YouTube and think that you're actually doing something. You're doing nothing, because I could tell you YouTube royalties don't pay nothing. You got 1 million views and the man send you $10. I can tell you out there now when it comes to that off of YouTube. So it's us as well need to change the way how we interact with our artists' music for the sake of our artists.
Yeah, and bringing it back to Winsford, because you know there's a legacy that still has to bring itself out, not just for Winsford, but for all the people who sit behind the scenes, write songs, performers, etc. And for me, that is the bit that is never very well handled. It feels as though everything is always for here and now, and that's it. But if we're going to function in music industry, it is never about here and now. It's about here and now, yes, but it's always about 70 years to follow that your music can live on and still, be paying the people who are managing your estate. So these are important steps that we have to take as a people in making sure get the structures right.
Oh, 100%. I'm so tired of seeing some of our finest artists right across the region who, when the time comes and they're not performing as much anymore, all you're hearing is a benefit concert for this, and usually it's for something fairly simple. I don't mind having benefit concerts for people, but when it's stuff like, he needs his roof fixed or something like that, and then sometimes these are people who have given so much, who you turn on the radio all across the region and you're hearing the music, because we're in the music space at the music. I mean, for the times that you hear it, there should be something that's going back.
Yeah.
And very often there's nothing, and this is where the building blocks and the things like rights, and as someone was mentioning Carter and that kind of stuff, you mentioned that earlier as well. This is where those building blocks are really, really, really important. But unless we value it, unless we move it out of the little extracurricular activity bucket, it will not change.
Yeah.
Well, I see Carla making a very interesting point there about do we have dialogue about rights, and do our artists really know how to do it? I would argue, well, yes, they do. But I think so. I think the focus becomes so much on the exposure and chasing the in-competition prize monies that
doing the carnival circuit in Eastern Parkway and Labor Day and Caribana and Notting Hill and that kind of stuff.
It is often forgotten that I got to make sure I do this stuff right, because even when I'm not here any longer, this music is still mine. It is still my estate. It is still my children.
It could, and it live on, it live on. But we say the artists don't know. I think they do. The fact of the matter is, for me, I don't think the underpinning pillars across the region are strong enough.
Yeah.
They just aren't strong enough for whatever reason. And we hear all the time. I can speak from a Barbados perspective. Somebody could tell me about Trinidad. But every year we hear about the amount of royalties that leave in Barbados going out to North America and different UK and different places. But yet we hear the artists in Barbados saying, but the radio stations don't log with music. So my question is, why would the radio stations be logging the extra regional music, but not logging the Caribbean music, or not logging the Barbados music so that our guys get paid as well? And the reason for that is simple. They know if they want to play these songs coming from North America,
they better log it.
The technology is there to come and shut them down. The underpinning technology and structures are there to come after them. Clearly is not there in the region in the same way.
Yeah.
So they play, move on.
Yeah.
So that's something that we gotta deal with. But look, one of the things too that when we were talking to Crazy, he was saying as well that Devine had written a song with him. Devine wrote the lyrics and he wrote the melody just a few weeks or a month or so before he passed, and it was called Philanthropy. Here's a little bit of it here, guys.
Within this life, corruption and strife have superseded righteousness and truth. Prophets of doom paint pictures of gloom, pronouncing man an absolute brute. But as I go my way, I see things every day that gives me hope and courage to say, though it is cold out in the world, there is still some loving, there is still some goodness. When I see the average man taking time to understand and console the handicap and the old, I know there is still some loving, there is still some goodness. soul. When I see the glory of father's pride and mother's love, witness a genuine romance unfold. I know there is still some loving, there is still some goodness in this world. Hey!
Fantastic song. Fantastic.
Beautiful song.
Yeah, beautiful. Very, very good.
Man. It's really good.
Hey,
Welcome
David.
back, David. How was it?
It was good.
Good.
As good as it could be.
As good as it could be. Easy. Let's hope. Let's hope that that is a negative. Indeed.
Awesome.
Crazy had to drop off. He had bad internet connection and stuff there.
Right.
But you heard us talking, you were there listening to us, and we were talking about the underpinnings to make sure songwriters, as Devine was, get their due as far as royalties and stuff are concerned, and making sure we have the right building blocks across the regions. Any thought about that?
Well, it's a perennial complaint that we don't get the amount of income as we should, and I think there's a certain level of I don't want to call it self-hatred, but I think it's like we don't see ourselves as paramount in terms like that, and therefore, I think what we receive as royalties is just a portion, a small portion of what we should really be receiving. It has been going on for years and years. And it's getting harder and harder because when you think the established, like in Trinidad, the COT, which is the most established of the copyright organizations, they still have a lot of road to travel to get a serious place. It's like we get something and we say, oh, take that and cool it, as we say in Trinidad.
But do you think that particular attitude right there frustrates people for wanting to do things properly? Because I feel as though I might make all this effort, but there's not really a lot coming back, or it's not really worth it. Is that contributing to the attitude?
It contributes to the attitude. In my case, I have also registered my music at CD Baby, and so it helps because at the end of the day, every 2 weeks I see a check coming in the mail, which isn't bad at all. But even that is we still have to. It's just a start, You have to go further than that. And some of the big companies like Apple and so on who streamline, how much do you really get from them at the end of the day? So all these things have to be addressed. At least it's coming from a more organized space. So hopefully that will help the artists directly, and make things a little better. Hopefully.
Oh, no, I agree with that. I mean, and to be honest, when it comes to royalties and stuff, as long as you're registered properly, a little bit adds up. If it's done properly.
Yep.
If it's done properly. A lot of the issues seem to be within the region itself, and and what you're getting from airplay versus stuff. Because in most markets, you should be getting more royalties from airplay than you get from streaming. But that doesn't necessarily happen across the region. And this is one of these things that we as a region should work together to sort out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would add that what I get from streaming over the last year and a half, where I haven't been working at all. That has helped me to keep my head above water.
Wow.
Okay.
So that's a positive,
Yeah, I add to that though, because I must stream your music probably.
You listen to a lot of
Thank you so much.
I'm happy to say contributed to that. Spotify has you as one of my top artists there. Whenever I do something, I just put on Rudder and I could stream it for 2-3 hours because your catalog is so vast, and still not hear the same song twice. So it's a good thing. I like that. So it's good to know.
That's why the money I got came in with $50 more this week.
Yeah. That was me. I happy to say that.
When we bounce up in person, I owe you a dinner.
I did. That's right.
Careful there, David.
Don't spend all on me. Don't spend all on me.
He's a vegetarian, so it can
It can be
easy.
cheap. It can be cheap.
We good to go.
Yeah. No, but I think that's important. I think more artists should probably let people know that, because streaming is important. But of course, getting it registered in the right way is very important as well. And I think a lot of artists do probably do that quite a bit, register in the right way. My concern is always with how we in the region treat our own. And whether it be the radio stations or us wanting a mixtape CD rather than going and buy the album or streaming it in a place that we know where royalties will go back to the artist,
Yeah. One of the questions, David, that we were discussing whilst you were out was about songwriters, and I was saying that I saw somewhere that Winsford wrote about back in the 80s, he was writing 40 songs a season, and I wanted to kind of understand the gravity of what it takes for somebody to write that vast amount of songs in a Calypso season, because you're writing across so many topics, so many issues,
for different
so
people.
many tempos, so many artists. What are your thoughts?
The guy was definitely in a zone of his own,
Wow.
I used to be prolific in terms of writing songs, but not like that. I would walk in the studio and say, all right, I'm going to do 14 songs for this album. And I ended up doing the 14 songs, but I guess I have never really been one of those people who write songs for other people every day as an everyday job, on the occasion, I would do a song for an artist here, an artist there, as the case may be. But I guess part of it is the fact that he was a professional writer, writing for artists, and it's almost like it used to be like a Devine's Carnival, in terms of especially in terms of like the Calypso Monarch and so on, where a lot of his work happened there. I mean, the great song Progress. I mean, if you have never heard about Devine and heard that song, you want to go home and say, write a song like that for me.
No, very, very, very true. That song is an amazing song. We're going to hear it a bit later, but that song is a fantastic song. I guess as you say, he was a professional writer writing for a lot of other people, but still to be that, the dexterity of thought and brain to be able to do that on a yearly basis is just amazing.
Yeah, and I think too that some of the songs too, people would have an idea for a song and take it to him to sort of to embellish. So a lot of the work is not a straight and fast question of I want a song and he writes a song and says, here's the song. It's like I have this idea of so the melody. This is my feeling, and he will do them. So a lot of that adds to the thing too,
That's why Michael coming back to answer a question there. Yes, Michael, he will. Just to answer that question, he was asking if he asked Amazon to play your music, if you would receive royalties from that, pretty much. And the answer is yes to that one.
Yes.
Much more than he would get off his for YouTube. So use Amazon. I tell people that all the time.
Yeah. And David, I suppose it's during COVID, we got to realize there are so many issues that can be happening in Trinidad on a daily basis. Right? It is a hive of activity on a good day. There's always something to write about. So I suppose there was no shortage of topics, but you still got to make them interesting.
Yeah. Yes. You have to find a way to say it that people can say. We have a term you say, "What boy?" That word, Yeah,
What boy?
word.
Yeah.
Say, what boy? I didn't see it in that way, but the way you put it,
We were also talking about Calypsonians who may not have recognized Devine because back in the day, to not write your own work might have been seen as a bad thing, or you're not really a true maestro of the art form. Was that an issue?
that's always a complaint. But at the end of the day, there are some people who could sing and can't compose, and some people who could compose but can't sing. You know?
True.
So what will they do? So they have a nice symbiotic relationship. You know, like if Sparrow takes a Devine song and makes it his own, you know, that in itself is a win. You know.
Yeah.
No, I agree, because a lot of that, even like Elton John, you know, a lot of people don't realize Elton John didn't write a lot of his songs. He had Bernie Taupin. He had a writing partner who would literally write all the lyrics and send them to Elton John, and then Elton John would put music and melody and stuff to it.
Yeah.
But Elton John is here. I mean, he's a songwriter as well, so don't get tied up. Elton John is also a songwriter. But some of his biggest songs were actually written by someone who actually has never sung a note or anything like that ever.
Yeah.
You know,
I think I was just going to say, I think it's important to celebrate those relationships as well. You know, because sometimes we would tend to say, well, if you can't stand on your own and be a complete artist, you're not as great as the other person who can. But there is something brilliant in relationships and collaborations and so on that we need to see more of.
Yeah, but it's like Melodian Rhapsody. Even if Sparrow sang that, it would never be like song like the Baron.
No,
you know? It's just that, you know, it won't. So there is room for you say, you know, who will sing the song good, so the case may be. You can feel these particular artists who will make that song his own or her own, you know, and that's important too, you know. Make music, write songs, share the music around, share the lyric, and more things will not come out of that, you know.
Do you think Devine is only now getting his full recognition in Trinidad and across the region? Has he ever gotten it?
It took a long time, and just a couple of years ago, the University of West Indies recognized him and gave him a doctorate. But it's like sometimes I used to look at his writing on Facebook and so on, and I felt this is the writing of a man who was frustrated about being recognized, you know.
Yeah.
But so that was kind of sad. But at the end of the day, he was recognized by the University of the West Indies, and hopefully people will keep remembering. The songs are there for him to be remembered by, you know. I always say, once you're blessed with the music, you can't die.
True. Yeah, I agree with you. It felt, you know, the last few years or so that he was clearly frustrated with not getting the recognition, not just probably from UE, but from the masses in general, or not only recognition, but just people not even knowing that a lot of these songs were actually his pen.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe coming from both ways, people just not knowing, and maybe sometimes Calypsonians not recognizing, or Calypsonians not saying this was written by.
Yeah.
You know, because back in the day, I suppose his name wasn't necessarily on a lot of the 12 inches to say Winsford Devine, but the artist's name was probably there only.
I think that's always the sort of curse of being so prolific. You know, if you write so much, people start to almost take it for granted that you can write.
Yeah.
Because it seems so easy to produce it that they assume the amount of energy and time that you're putting into that is just a given.
Yeah.
Therefore, there's not a lot of recognition given to the effort that has gone into getting into that stage that he could be so prolific as well. Yeah.
And I think I read somewhere that Singing Francine was the first person to actually acknowledge him on one of her records. It was a big thing for him. But it seemed as though things would have shifted down the years away from giving him that recognition to almost him becoming somebody who's obscure.
Well, Chuck does give him a backhand recognition one time. So.
Oh, yeah?
He had a song, I think, called Too Much Crack in Invalids. And you're saying that, I can't remember if it's that one or but he's saying that when you look at all these fellas who play this big Calypsonian, it's the Devines who compose it.
Yes.
So even if they don't know who Devines was, then you'll say, who is Devines? You know?
Who's Devine?
So it begs the question, who is Devines? So it's a backhanded compliment, but it's a compliment anyway.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
That's good.
And your songs, what were your two favorite was what? Malaysian Rhapsody and what was the other one?
Memories.
Memories. Ah, yes, Memories. Tell you what, we got Memories here lined up here. Let's have a little bit of that and see why this is one of the King David Rudder's favorite songs from the maestro. That is Winsford Devine.
Every year somebody dear give us cause to shed a tear and mourn, for they are gone. Now all that's left is a faint memory based on the theme of a strange melody. Still, we must think of them and recall their image with pride, telling people from deep inside, this is dedicated to those who died.
Wow.
That was an amazing song.
Mm.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a song right for this certain time.
Yeah.
It's a really, really, really good song. Oh, Michael here is asking, why is it that we know of Less Than Paul but not of Devine?
Well, Less Than was, I think people recognize the musical arrangers before the writers. I mean, if you hear there's a certain period in Soca and Calypso history where the Less Than Paul was the song of Soca and Calypso. You know, everyone we're going by Less Than. It's like with a Devine song, but you know, you're really interested in at this point in time who write the song. The fact that you hear the brass at Less Than, but there, see that, you hear that, you know, that's more in your face, you know.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, he got his recognition. You know, both of them. Less Than also got a doctorate from the university. So at the end of the day, everything fell into place. You know.
I know he said he wrote for someone in Barbados. Invader Number 3, was it? I wonder which song it was. I don't even know which song it was he wrote for Invader
Good to
Number
know.
3. We were trying to figure out. But when you hear In Time to Come and stuff, I know it. Invader had a song called "What Do You Think of Time?"
Yeah.
Does it really
That be a Devine
exist?
song, man.
And when I listened to it again, I was like, oh, that actually song. When I listened to some of the other Devine songs, now I know what I'm listening for. I wonder if it's that one. I don't know. So please don't anybody say that Devine wrote that one. I don't know. But from Invader Number 3 in Barbados, that's one that came to mind. We just can figure out which one it was, which was interesting as well.
And David, just to understand the competition, because naturally you would have been coming up against some Devine songs over the years. And how did that help you to bring up your standard per se?
Well, I had a different way of looking at life.
Oh, okay.
Beginning, so the things that I look at, to me, it's just natural. People say it's poetic and but it's just my natural way of doing things. So I was always in my own little zone.
All right.
In school, I used to get in trouble in school. You know, I have some painful memories of school because while the teacher was teaching history or math, I might be composing a song.
Okay.
And corporal punishment was still
a thing.
As soon as you say painful, I know what you meant.
I suffered from my heart, you know.
But it probably made you more bullish to continue then. So we're glad for that. Not for the punishment, but we're glad that you keep moving on. That's always a good thing. Well, I was trying to remember if I played this one, but I cannot remember. But anyway, I can play it again because I don't think I played it yet. This is another song. Again, guys, you guys might know it, but do you know that Devine wrote?
be great. A fuss I want to play, I can hardly wait. Dress up like a Baptist woman with a old shoebox in my hand. Charging money to see so it's confusion in the band. To see Miss Mary, big and hairy. To see she father, to see she mother. For carnival this year, I have Miss Mary here. Miss Mary Wayne, come and see she.
Gem of a song.
If there's one is proof that the Devines had his ear to the ground, that's an old when in school days, you know, children would sing all these songs, you know, here we go around the mulberry bush and so on. And you see Miss Mary, 1 pound, big and hairy, you see she mother, it was very risque kind of things, you know. But that's cool children things. So he absorbed all these energies, you know, and then manifest them in song, you know. It's like and make it something, you know, take away the childishness from it. But at the same time, Sparrow could do it, take it and do it to what he wants with it, and you know.
But I think it goes back to what you say, because hearing Sparrow's voice on it and knowing how he performs, it was a match made in heaven. You know, it was just perfect.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I can actually see that.
It certainly was a partnership you couldn't ignore, David. I know you're in your zone, but it certainly was a partnership that perhaps the whole community across Trinidad knew of. You know, once Sparrow and Devines are coming, things will be tough.
Things will be tough. And there also is another element that people don't recognize, and maybe is the subject of another podcast. But a lot of the writings also were done by Jerry Ballantyne, Jerry Ballantyne. So he also had a say in that. I think that song, Sparrow Song's Philip Idea, talk about the guy entering the Queen's chamber.
Yes.
So, you know, that's a GB. You know, so it's a subject for our next discussion. But
indeed,
you know, it's like the amount of people who have written things. You know, I always say Calypso is like the Europeans record their history in books. The Africans record history by the oral tradition, telling stories. And we kind of balance the two. We have lyrical music, storytelling, and you could always say, what year was that that happened in Germany? They say, well, invaders say so in 1947. So it had to be 1947. So, you know, so there's that element people already recognize in terms of, you know, the historical lessons and the great library.
That's a fascinating. It's like that Calypso is actually a
marriage,
almost a marriage of these two cultures. That were forced together. Yeah.
It must be hard to write for a Calypsonian, though, David. It must be.
Well, funny enough, Crazy. I'm sorry, Crazy wasn't here right now. Because I was given a commission to write for Crazy 1 year.
Okay.
Yes.
And I knew Crazy. Actually, I studied Crazy head top to bottom. And I wrote 3 songs for Crazy before I realized he wasn't coming for the
I wish he was here for this.
And the songs were Buy a Girl, Madness, and Jump Up. And 3 of them went on to be 3 of my most successful songs. You know? And they were written for Crazy. And if you listen to these songs, you know, you can hear, this is not a fet in here, this is madness.
Crazy.
You're crazy. You know?
So when you wrote those songs, you had in mind Crazy. As a singer. Interesting. Yeah.
Wow. And I suppose, you know, him not taking those songs.
I did the songs.
Exactly.
You did them. Yeah. But it's so fascinating that by having that vision of him performing, it might have given you a different way of narrating and structuring the song and conceiving and organizing the song.
I reconstructed it after he didn't do it, you know.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
But that's the kind of I did songs for Ella Andel also, because I understood her style and her feel, you know. So it's very important to understand what an artist, how they think, how they interpret a song, you know. And it's like a Bob Dylan song. He has this raspy voice, and he just kind of sings and speak at the same time. But if you hear like someone with a beautiful voice sing the same song, it doesn't have the same.
Don't work.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, or even like a Grace Jones song or something like that. You go like, nobody can sing that.
If they ask me to write a song for Grace Jones, I would study Grace Jones. Not literally.
No, that's up to you. That's up to you.
I was gonna ask David. So, did you and Devine have a lot of, or do you have any memorable conversations you might have had with him that you could?
No, we met twice, and it was like one of those. They were honoring him, so I said a few words to him at the ceremony, and then I think I met him another time. It was very short. He was very much not a public figure in that sense.
Okay.
I almost felt like he was reclusive, you know. But you know, you'll hear him in the songs when every year, you know, you hear those songs.
That's what I was trying to get at, to understand a little bit about what his personality was like, because a lot of songwriters, especially those.
He did. I remember they were interviewing him one time, and they asked him what is his favorite song. You know, not what he wrote, but someone else's song. What's his favorite song? And he said, "The Madman's Run" by David Rudder.
Oh.
What? All right.
Yeah.
That's a serious praise there.
That's a serious praise right there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Serious praise. Again, we were talking about competition and Calypso and whether or not it's helpful or hurtful, and where is Calypso going today? I know, you know, you had any thoughts on that, David?
It's helpful in the sense that if you're trying to check yourself, your level of performance, rendition, delivery, dominating the stage, because it's the most terrifying stage to be on for a young artist who don't know what's going on. It's huge, and you know, in the old days, there used to be like both stands, so you had to know how to balance, to sing to the grandstand, and then you know how to stand, and so, you know, and all these things. So I think that it's good to pace, especially for young artists, to see where you are. A lot of times people tend to overstay their time, as far as I'm concerned. But you know, at the end of the day, I think part of the whole system is that the music, the only way you can get the music out is on the Savannah stage anyway, even if they want to leave that format, you know. But it's a kind of desperate situation, so I understand that. But I think it's more for up-and-coming artists to be able to learn the art of controlling the stage. You know, I think that's where it should be. But that's just my opinion.
No, I'm with you there.
That's a good point.
I think it is a way of sort of cultivating excellence as well. You know, that you're coming back there. You have people that you're competing against, and also the thing that I think is positive about competition. You know, here in Europe, at least in the UK, competition in schools and so on is starting to be pushed down. Everybody wins. You know, you get participation is rewarded. And I started to say, I don't completely agree with that, because you know, growing up we were quite competitive in the Caribbean, but we like to win, but we learn to lose well. You know, and I think that's part of the culture around.
It happens all around the world now. I'm in Canada, and so when you take the kids to football, soccer, as they say, and everybody gets a medal. Regardless if your team lose 10-0.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for you're so good. You know?
You participated. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming. You know? And you know, it's a good way to encourage the young people. That, you know, you gotta say you get 10. So you had fun. What you learned something, you know, But when you get to the day when all is said and done, everybody gets work, and it's like good work. But I just got 10 goals.
It passed me.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Mark, you want to do Winston?
Yeah. Well, we wanted to take the opportunity to also recognize, because in losing Winsford, we also lost another legend in the Caribbean. Winston Sosa.
Yeah.
And it was sad again reading about what happened at the end of his life. Things were quite tough, but again, there's a catalog of music there that is sweet, and you got one there that you can line up there, Dre, that we can play just to remember Winston Sosa as well.
Again,
you could get my permission. I don't mind.
Well, look, guys, I'm sure a lot of people know Winston Sosa, but check this one out.
Some women sweeter than some. Nowadays it isn't so. I asked her wrong, and I got to know the different ways and different looks in which you could find a woman. I want to know your opinion. But some men love a woman with big bottom, plenty hips, and looking alright. Others love them women who thick and strong, plenty fit, and love to go all night. I'm glad I don't have to search no more. I found a woman I could really brag on. She's bad, I still don't even know what she did last night. That had me sweating, had me begging, darling, no more, no more.
Tune.
Oh, wow.
Tune.
Wow.
I have some bad news.
Go ahead.
Oh dear. Don't tell me.
My computer is just about to die.
Oh no. Just about to die. Okay. No. Valerie, you see me?
If you lose me, that's the reason.
That's the reason. No problem. We come into the end pretty soon. But one thing I want to share with everybody as well, because Crazy, as you know, is really unfortunate. He's got some bad internet problems. He sent me a message on WhatsApp and he says apologies, but Flow is not working properly for him at the moment, so he wasn't able to come back on. But Crazy did mention, because he had a really good relationship with Devine, and 2 or so days prior to Devine passing away, he wrote the lyrics to a song. And as Crazy was saying before, very often Devine would write the lyrics and he would put the melody there. Oh. And just before he passed, he wrote the lyrics to a song. And it was this, and Crazy put the melody to it. Listen to this, guys.
This is Winsford Devine's final set of writing the night before he died. 2 nights before, sorry. 2 nights, because every morning he used to call me at 4 o'clock in the morning for us to talk. And these are the last set of words that he wrote, and I put a melody to it, because he knew he was going to die. He's every day telling me he's going to die. So this is the last set of lyrics he did about his death. This song is about his death. He told me to put a melody and let people out there hear it, you know. I will surely miss him. This is his words here, he's saying here. The moment is fast approaching, maybe the end of the line.
No time again for reproaching. This morning I saw the sign. An angel on a big white horse was standing in front of my gate. Without any further discourse, I entered my final state. I can feel it in my bones, something I cannot defend. A bell toll in scary tones, telling me this is the end. This is it, this is it, the final curtain. This is it, this is it, the end is certain. This is it, the closing chapter. This is it, eternal rapture. I am going to meet my maker. It is right around the bend. Finally, I will get some closure. The longest rope has an end. So this is it, crazy, this is it. That's what you say. This is it, this is it, this is it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Derek Walcott wrote a poem about Spoiler the Calypso, who died very early because of drinking. He died when he was 32. Prolific, right? Mostly, right? And he said, I decomposing, but I'm composing still.
Yes. Well,
that's Derek Walcott said.
We got a surprise here now because I don't even know if to add because I know 1 week or maybe we're gonna be here till tomorrow morning because we eat story on top of story. But a man who I know you love and respect, David, the mighty Gabby just decided to join us.
Dave, I just came out the studio.
You're late.
There's an old folk song that I wrote called John Brown. And only last week, a friend of mine asked me for the lyrics. I sent it, and a friend of mine, Carol Roberts at the NCF, who is the chief there, liked it and said that I should record it. So some guy who was doing the rapping asked me to just sing a few bars of the song. So I went in the studio, and I did it and came back and tried to join you all. So good to see you, Dave, man.
Yes, man. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Nice, man. Thanks,
talking about
man.
Prolific writers. Look one right there.
we know.
David, I have to get your cell number because what has happened is like in the last 4 years, I decided that I wouldn't write too many calypsos. I would just concentrate on doing some poems. So in that 4 years, I wrote a little over 1,600 poems. So I'm hoping, so I'm hoping that by January, most that I will get to the 2,000 poems, right? So I'm putting out a book, which I finished the first book. It's a volume of books actually. And instead of calling it an anthology, I'm calling it an Anthonyology because my name is Anthony, right? So, so I'm calling it an Anthonyology. And,
what boy?
Thanks, Dave. So that's what I'm doing. But I finished the first one already. There's one on life. Next one gonna be on culture. And but because Barbados is becoming a republic, I am going to hold back this book's launching until after that November. Yeah.
Now I know you two guys have. Say that again, David.
Whoa!
He just said his computer was going.
Oh man!
He just said, but like Gabby, I know you're late. You messaged me. You told me you're a bit late, and then somebody just messaged me and just now said, "Wait, who Gabby think he is?" But
yeah, man.
But I say he's Gabby, he's the mighty Gabby. But I know you love Winsford Devine work, Gabby. You talked to us about him before. You want to expand on that? As to why you believe he's
genius. I mean, I don't use the word lightly, genius, you know. But anybody who would have worked with him or scrutinized his work with great, you know, small tooth comb could tell you that he was unusual. He was quick. He was prolific. He was down to earth. He liked to party. He liked to play pan. You know, he liked a little drink sometimes. But I can tell you that pure genius came out of that man. Pure genius. I mean, it's like, I can't explain it to you, but there are more Calypsonians in Trinidad that he wrote for that he didn't, as opposed to the ones he didn't write for. It's easier to come to the ones he didn't write for than the ones he wrote for. And I mean, big songs, popular songs that have legs.
We played some earlier.
Play a lot of them tonight.
Okay.
Play a lot, man.
You know, one of my favorites is the one with Baron talking about nature and earth.
Mother Earth.
Yes. Mother Earth is crying. You gotta stop the pollution. You know, that's a brilliant song. That song has stuff, and he did one for Francine. That started like, when you see me coming panorama night, see how we moving lights, moving it left and right, just taking the place. The shaking the waist, the winding the place, right? And talking about something about these girls. These girls never had no schooling. They couldn't even sing. But hanging around the pan man yard, man, they study hard. Now I tell you, they are super bad. So when you see them coming panorama night, see how they moving light, swinging the thing, swinging it left and right, just moving and swinging the place out the side. They're moving the waist. It's beautiful, right?
Beautiful song, yeah.
What Devine used to do is paint a picture all the time, right? He had this way of painting pictures. You know, the same Philip, my dear. You know, he painted a beautiful picture. You know, it was just brilliant. Capitalism gone mad. Picture painted again, right? You gotta be a millionaire or some kind of petty bourgeoisie anytime you're living here in this country. Long rhyme and short rhyme. So many goods, so many bills to pay. There is no conceivable way to save for a rainy day in this country, right? Wow. And it goes back to that line, in this country, all the time. And I mean, I always say, if Shakespeare great, then Devine is greater. I don't care who dispute that or try to dispute me, because I examine Shakespeare's work. I examine Devine's work. People tell me, oh, but you didn't examine all the great writers of the Caribbean, Kamau, and you know, the other writers out of Haiti, and the others out of Jamaica, and the others out of Trinidad. And I said, yes, I did. But you didn't examine Devine. So that's why you don't have the feeling about Devine that I have, because you didn't spend the time to develop that interest in Devine that you could and should have done. So therefore, you cannot love him or respect his works the way that I do and the way that I have done. So, you know, but believe you me, this man, you know, was a genius. And like I said it before, I say it again, I do not use the word genius lightly. So Garfield Sobers, genius. Viv Richards, genius. Brian Lara, a genius. Muhammad Ali, a genius. Michael Jordan, a genius. You see the company that Devine is keeping? Right? So it tells you everything, right? Because he had that special touch, that special stamp, that special talent that, you know, that is rare. You know, rare air. You don't get there by chance. And people always say, man, Devine was so good he didn't even know. Devine knew that he was great, but he never was arrogant with it. And that's the difference. He knew that he was great.
Yeah.
But you see, sometimes people tend to believe that these people didn't know. And you hear them say, man, he didn't know how good he was. Yeah, he didn't know how good. No, he knows how good he was. But he doesn't have to walk around with it stamped on his chest and, you know, pushing it in the air. Because he knows once it comes to his time now to exhibit what he's so skillful at, here he goes. Right?
But it seemed he didn't get the recognition across Trinidad and across the region as well for how good he was.
No, he did not. Because, again, he was very low-key, the person. You know, Devine didn't want to be in no interview every minute and on TV every minute on the radio and in the newspaper doing interviews. He wasn't a person like that. He just do what he had to do. But he also knew that, as he said in the song, in time to come, they would recognize his greatness. And I kept saying it all the time. And sometimes I get into trouble for my mouth. And I said many times, Trinidad had people like Uriah Butler, they had Eric Williams, and many others. But one day, Trinidad is going to put Devine right on the same pedestal as Eric Williams or Uriah Butler or Cipriani, because his works will outlive them. You see, let me tell you something quickly here.
Wow.
I don't know if I said it in the last chat we had. When I had written Cadavers, a morning around 5:15, I heard a knock on my door. I was living in Colmarock at the time. And I told my wife, go and answer. She said, use the man in the house, you go and answer. I said, well, let me go together. So
you the pretty do?
No.
You write the song, you the pretty do?
No, it said, till death do us part. And so on. I work out, like as Dave Martin, my friend, said in the song, if there's any lashes to get, we going and get equal lashes. Because we are married, so we will get equal blows, right? So I said, all right, and we went. It was just teasing her though. The man looked at me. Are you Anthony Nicholas George Carter, alias Mighty Gabby? Yes. Well, you hereby served something about habeas corpus and some of the other. So I started to laugh. The man said, this is no laughing matter. And I said, huh? This is from our Prime Minister. I said, let me see it. And I opened it and I read it. And I started to laugh even harder. And the man said, there's nothing to laugh at. I said, for me, it is. So why you say that? I said, because tell the boy that sent this to me that I said it is not worth the paper it's written on. Are you calling our Prime Minister a boy? I said, oh my gosh. I said, boy? I said, sorry, tell the little boy. Tell the little boy that he said that he is greater than me, more popular than me, more famous than me, more important than me right now. But all two of us have got to die. And when he dies and I die, unless you are a history buff, you're not going to be reading, quoting, or doing anything with anything he has said. So you're trying to say you're greater than our Prime Minister? I said, yes, I am. And where you get your evidence? I said, well, years ago, they had a fella named Bill. Bill? Who's Bill? I don't know where I get wrong to him. And he used to write stories and plays and poems and so on.
Okay.
And at the time he was living, they had people like kings, queens, princesses, duchesses, dukes, barons, baroness, you know, the so-called gentry. And all of them felt and were treated as though they were more important than Bill. Who is this Bill? I said, oh, so they call him William. William who? William Shakespeare. And he today is quoted, for every one time you quote any of them, you quote Bill 100 times, because he was always greater than they were. But he was too close to his own time. So the people did not recognize him as such. But today, they quote him all the time. A Stitch in Time says 9. You know, then they talk about his plays, Hamlet, and so on and so forth, you know, Macbeth, this and that. I said, do you hear anybody talk about King James II? No. You ought to be a history class or somebody doing a lecture on history. He's gone into oblivion, but Bill lives on.
Yes.
What are you trying to say? I say trying to tell you that when we die, that nobody ain't gonna remember Tom Adams unless you're a history buff. But they're gonna remember me and my works. Because some of them have been recorded. And that is as perennial as the grass. He said, but you're so arrogant, you're so arrogant. I said, I'm not being arrogant, just being truthful. If you will only follow what I'm saying, it's not arrogance, it's truthfulness.
So you're saying all this to the court person, the clerk?
Yeah, the guy who came bring the server. Server.
I bet he wish your wife came to you during instead.
I said Rick server, I meant Rick server.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rick, yeah.
You ever see a black man turn blue and red at the same time? He turned blue and red that morning because he couldn't believe what he was saying. He thought it was arrogance, and I told him no. It's intelligence trying to temper and trying to conquer ignorance, because your ignorance permit you to believe otherwise. Boy, and that was that. I said all that to say that in time the Trinidadians will recognize the greatness of Devine and put him right up there on the same pedestal as Eric Williams, etc., etc.
Yeah. Interesting. I agree with that. David, you back? You can hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys.
Okay, good.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. That's all right. People telling us the conversation now start that Gabby reached. Stories. So Gabby, what were conversations with Devine like when you get together?
Devine don't never talk too much about himself, you know. He only say, Gabby boy, I have this one here, this one. What do you think? I say it's sounding good, man. You say that because I'm a friend, or you think? I said, no, it's sounding good. He said, I have this one for this body, this one for that body, and this one for this body. Hey, I got another one here. I got this. But then after he got the stroke, right? He did not play the guitar. He was picking up tunes on the piano, right? But he was still creating some fantastic melodies. And he wasn't, what can I say? You know, like people say that a king is not honored in his own land.
His own home.
I believe that's what, yes, Devine suffered from that. But the Trinidadians will come around to it, because the average young Trinidadian don't know Winsford Devine at all. They don't know Joker at all. It's like if he don't exist. But it's the same thing with Leroy Clark. You think that 20, 30, 40 years from now, they ain't gonna remember Leroy Clark? They got to, because his works is so damn good, world class. But we tend to believe that when we do things, that it is either Trinidadian or Jamaican or Bajan or Caribbean. David Rudder's work is first class, world class work. But we putting it in a little shelf book, Caribbean, right? No, sir. Anytime a man could say, Haiti, I'm sorry, we misunderstood you. One day we turn our heads and look inside you. You understand what that means? That's power. That's telling you, be sorry. We got to be sorry because we're treating you bad. We're treating you badly. We did treat you badly. But we got to apologize. They have to apologize, like how the damn slave owner children and great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren have to apologize. It's the same thing, because that's what must happen in order for us to continue. We can't have a situation where they're having all these billions of dollars, which they know they got out of the slave trade and all that, and then leave us Caribbean people down here holding the hoe and holding the basket, and they're holding all the goods inside the basket. That don't make no sense to me. So David's work speaks about that. And then David takes us into Bahia. Why Bahia? Because no other part of our area had more black people from Africa than Bahia. It's important to understand that, right? And to understand when he says, man, it is like, that's religiosity, but it is spirituality more than religiosity. So that's why at first they had a few of the skeptics who were, man, he shouldn't do that, he shouldn't sing that, he should disgrace in the Catholic Church. And oh no, the vast majority say, are you crazy? This is a song. And 12, 10, 15, 20 encores later, they still want more, because the song spoke, right?
Indeed.
You know, Trinity to the bone. What? Every Trinidadian can feel and identify with that. So that's what I'm saying. Just like Devine, or just like a Shakespeare, David is too near his time for them to understand the depth of his work. Right? And I had to put that in, although we're talking about Devine. But the people in the Caribbean got to understand where David coming from. Where David came from all the time. Right? It was never from a superficial position. It was always from that. right? You talk about the Savannah, the dust in the face, right? If you went to Trinidad in Carnival, you could clearly understand what they meant by dust in your face, because you can't pass in the Savannah during the day unless some dust go in your face. I remember Calypso Rose, she was recording with us, and she came back up, and I said to her, I said, Rosie, how the Carnival? Carnival still, man. I said, why it's still? It's such good songs. She said, yeah, the music good, but the Carnival still. I said, why it's still from a personal perspective? I said, what's the personal? I ain't get mash. I ain't get mash at all, Gabby. Nobody ain't mash me. I have to get mash in Carnival to enjoy the Carnival. And what's meant, right, is that vibration, that feeling, that thing in there with somebody mash you not because they want to mash you, but because the drive and the feel of the Carnival is so, it's at such a height that you got to get mash, right? So if you understand how I look at it in each and every song, I try to examine it in its entirety as much as I can for how I interpret it. And that's why I keep saying that they're just like also David's songs. They have not examined the songs in depth, because and they have never played them one after each other 41 times. Because if they did, they would get the whole story of the whole Caribbean one time with a little piece of world history inside of it.
So David, Gabby giving some high praise there, man.
Yeah, I'm speechless.
No, but David, this is not because David is my friend, you know. I saying this because this is an artist that I have from the first time he came out. I had great admiration for him. In Charlie's Roots and outside of Charlie's Roots, it mattered not. Because, and another thing about David is his ability to go into a studio and do background vocals for just anybody. It don't matter. I did the same thing. I did background vocals for Rose, Duke, Stalin, well, the Roy Cape Band, whoever came through Eddie Grant. I did that not because of anything other than that. I love Calypso, and I felt honored to be able to do background vocals for all of those artists, because at the end of the day, there's one family here producing the fruits, the musical fruits for the world. Simple.
Wow.
No, I read you there. Whoa, that's fantastic. But
yeah.
Phil is your kind of thing, of course, with the understanding and delving into music and lyrics and structures and that kind of stuff, man.
No, but I like what Gabby said there about, is one family, one community. Because earlier when we were talking about, rights and royalties and so on, I was thinking maybe this infrastructure you're talking about looks very different to the infrastructure that exists in the industry at the moment. Maybe there's something in the community setting of the sort of musical infrastructure that's required, that's closer to our culture and our natural inclination as people.
Oh, thanks, Gal. No, yeah, it could be right. Actually. Could be right. So David, I feel like I gotta ask. I don't know, what was your favorite Gabby song? I know we're talking about Winsford, but for Gabby, what was one of your favorite songs there?
Well, there was a song that became very popular in Trinidad, sung by David Rudder and Charlie's Roots, a song called Government Boots.
Hey.
We actually did a recording of it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Charlie's Roots Government
Right,
Boots.
true.
Somewhere there in somebody's house, on a piece of vinyl.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, Government Boots. I would like to hear that. Oh, Gabby, probably come back. I would like to hear that recording. That song like it hit hard, man. But no, fantastic. And thanks for Gabby's gone there, so I guess he's got a bad connection. But what do you think, guys? We think we should end up and
let's get Gabby back, because it would be good for him to be in for that. Yeah.
Let's get.
I went out there now. I don't know what happened.
That's all right. So Gabby, you heard this recording by Charlie's Roots?
No.
Oh, we gotta find that, David. Then we gotta find that and bring it to the fore.
We played all through the Carnival that year. That marching thing, that all the fets we playing, everybody left, right, government, you know.
Yeah.
We had a little change in the song. I remember we doing left, right, the government, the government, you know. The people that's going crazy. So that was my first contact with Gabby and his music.
Wow.
Yes. But Dave, I have something to tell you all that is very true. Okay. When I went to Trinidad for the first time, I did not go just as when David first came here. He didn't come singing. He came in like in a group singing and thing when his mom allowed him to come up and things like that. But when I first went to Trinidad, I went to Trinidad as an actor at the Little Carib Theater. So the night when I finished with a play called Teacher, Teacher, and I played the role of a bad behaved boy in the people's school. When I finished, I saw this lady coming to the dressing room. I didn't know her at all. But then she came and she hugged me. She said, "That was great, man. You should keep on acting. This is very, very good." So she thanked me and she went on. So I asked somebody, "Who is this lady? Everybody going around, they're taking pictures." They said, "That's Beryl McBurney." I said, "That's Beryl?" I said, "What?" I ran back up quick. I said, "Beryl, I'm sorry, but I didn't know it was you." She said, "That's all right." And she hugged me up again. That was my introduction to Trinidad and Tobago. And then I went on a show with Holly Boutier at the Hilton. And I actually came first. And then I told him that I just came up to sing. I was doing it as a guest performance, not to try to win. That the person came second to give them the prize. And Holly and I became very good friends. And he always tell me, "My Gabby, you should come down and sing, man. Go in a tent or something." I said, "No, man. Maybe someday I will get a song that, you know, merit coming into the tent and thing." Meantime, now, Blakey was my friend. So Blakey used to spend a lot of time in Barbados, a lot, right? Down Brandon, but he liked the beach. He's out there by a man named Joe Pyle, right? We used to call Piley. So, hey, I gone into Trinidad now. Chuck Das called me and told me how books really popular. And then Jazzy Panting called me and told me Kitchener want me for the tent. And then Sparrow, it wasn't Sparrow himself, it was Sarge. Sarge called me and told me that Sparrow want me to come in the tent. So they asked Eddie Grant. Eddie said, man, go with Sparrow. Say, hey, so I gone down to this street. I can't remember the name of the street, but in Port of Spain. Blakey told me meet him at this club. Now, I thought when he said a club is a club, you're singing and dancing or limbo or something, I don't know. So I gone to this club. When I get to the club, a man bigger than Trinidad and Barbados put together at the door standing up, so, you know, like he lifting weights. So I said, "Excuse me, but I came here to see Blakey." Yeah, where you want with Blakey, boy? A little boy like you, boy. I said, no, he's my friend. Hey, Blakey don't know children like you, boy. I said, "Where you from?" I said, "From Barbados." "So who you?" I said, "It's Gabby." "No, Gabby's a big man. I hear Gabby singing boots and things. A big man, not you, man." So the man kept me out there for about 10 minutes. He kept me out there and would not let me go in. So then somebody came by and said, "Gabby, how you going, man?" I said, "This is Gabby." Oh, sorry, boy. Hey, I gone upstairs. Who I see but Mr. Carlton, Joseph, Warren Blakey on a table gambling. I said, "This is the club." "Yeah, this is I thought it's a club singing and things." He said, no, man, we play a little card and a little whatever. So, "Hey, Blakey, I tell all you that Gabby is my friend, man. Gabby, you had lunch already?" I said, "No." "Let me go lunch, man. Where you want?" I said, "Well, I like the Chinese shrimp and this." "Oh, right, they just drunk the corner there. Half a Frederick Street in there." And Blakey, I said, "But Carlton, what about the money on the table?" He said, "The money on the table? You think somebody got touch something belong to Blakey, boy?" "No, man. Everybody knows a man that's moving a razor." So I said, "So but you gonna leave the money there?" "Yeah, nobody ain't got touch it, man." Blakey walked downstairs with me. We walked a little distance and we went to this beautiful Chinese. First I ever saw a real Chinese restaurant. Everything else I saw was a little one there or something. You go over the throw window, you get your thing. This is a restaurant where they got people serving you and this and that and towel, wipe your hand.
Oh gosh. Frustrating. All right.
I wonder where that story going on.
I was wondering too. I was wondering, but it's great to see the mutual respect that you have for David, for Gabby as well, David.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That brother is something else. Something else. A composer, poet, everything. Amazing human being.
Yeah.
And when I went upstairs,
I like that story.
Blakey, every cent that Blakey left on that there, nobody touched that money. I said, but what I see in the thought, he said, Gabby, them boys know me already, man. I just write song and sing, but I half stupid sometimes, you know. That was it. That was my first introduction to Trinidad as a singer. Right, went on the radio, on the TV, on the this, and the that. But I love Trinidad. Put it that way, yeah? Because
we know you love Trinidad.
Art, artists.
Yeah,
yes,
I love that.
man.
I love that about Trinidad too.
My other fun thing about that is I was staying by Sparrow, so Sparrow asked me if I want to go up to Arima with him, or let the guy Chris, who he had hired to ride me up for the 6 weeks I was there. So I said, man, I can go up with Chris. Well, I gone up with Chris. So when we get there, it was early. So I saw this woman with this tray selling, right? So I said, well, man, I want some of them golden apples. I go in and so I said, good evening. And the woman, they look at kind of juke, she gave me one bad eye, right? So I said, excuse me, ma'am, but the golden apples, can I have some? She put the knife, she put the knife right there, right? So I said, well, this woman behaving strange. Next thing I see Stalin coming down. I said, Leroy, come quick. So Gabby, we're looking for you, everything. But I said, I was here trying to buy some of these golden apples. Right. Oh, gosh, man, you're calling the thing wrong, man. It named Poncite, man. So the woman said, this is Gabby? I said, Leroy said, yeah. So, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I thought you one of them little boys come to teach me thing. So the woman gave me all the golden apples with the Trinidad called Poncite, all that she had there, so in a bag. No, Gabby, keep it. Look, Gabby, you see up there? All up there. If you could go to the light going over, all up there is my gold. I got more than 50 golden apple tree. You know, what you call it, golden apple? Yeah, the Poncite. I have more than 50 of them up there, man. Take the thing, man. I don't have to sell with this tray, you know. My son is a doctor, the nephew is a lawyer, the girl is a nurse. And they keep telling me I should put down my tray. The trays will send them to school. So I have to put down my tray. What am I going to do when I go home? I had nothing to do. So I just come up here and lime and thing and go in the village and sell my little thing and come back. And the woman sit me down there. I sat down with her until about half an hour before I was to go on stage.
Go on stage.
You know, it's things like that that make me love Trinidad and Tobago, man.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I love the story. I love this story. Especially what with this strong man by the gate of the club.
You mean with Blakey?
Yeah, with Blakey. He tell me
yeah, it's a big strong man. David, the man bigger than Trinidad and Barbados put together. A huge man. And this is no fat man, you know, it's a man like he live in the gym or something. And he out there, so yo.
Was that song David you were singing?
Oh no, I say, he tell me I come to thief, he tell me I come to rob. I say I come to see Lord Blakey. He said, how you know he in this club? I told him Gabby, and Blakey invite me. He said, just a minute, let me go and check out it.
What happened? Oh my God.
But look, let's do this here in a second. Look, for everyone who's listening, you know what we do here in the living room. We like to have conversations about everything Caribbean. And one of the things that we had always made sure that we do is honor our legends right across the region. And so far, we've honored David Rudder, who's here with us, Michael Holden, who was on last week as well, Alison Hines from Barbados, Jennifer Houston from, as well, who was the first Miss World, and the mighty Gabby as well. And today, what we wanted to do is to say thank you, Winsford Devine, for everything that you have done. And, and from us here, and as you said, when we initially thought of this, it was before he had passed. And while our show is called The Living Legends in the Living Room, we thought, no, we can't let this pass. We still need to induct Winsford Devine onto this wall for everything that he has done. So today, he is on the wall as well, along with these other stalwarts across the region. And we want to just say thank you for everything that you have done. And as Gabby said, your work will live on and on and on. And long time after this, people will be continuously speaking of your work, studying your work, and recognizing how great it is and how much it has added to the rich cultural history that is the Caribbean. So Winsford Devine, we salute you and induct you onto our wall of legends.
True.
Yes. Yes, the great Joker, man. The great Joker. He also wrote songs that were not calypsos, I heard quite a few of them. And I said, but Joker, why you don't put out these, man? You know how it is, the people ain't gonna really think that. I said, Joker, these melodies are fantastic. These songs are great, man. Put them out. And he said, you know how it is, man. You know how people they put you in a basket, they use a calypso, and this one's a reggae singer, the next one's a pop singer, the next one is the gospel, man. I said, but don't worry about that. These songs are great. So I hope that one day that those songs will come to light, because I know that Joker wrote songs that were not calypsos, that were great songs as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a real pleasure to be able to, be in the presence of yourself, Gabby, and David, to make sure that we give him the honor that he truly deserves as a Caribbean icon, prolific songwriter, great legend across the region. Well deserved.
No, 100%. 100%.
Yes,
well deserved to
indeed.
be on the wall. Indeed. But look, Gabby, you were late, but thank you so much for adding, because I know everyone is going like, Gabby, no come, the talk, no start. We know start.
Well, I apologize to you and the whole listening and viewing audience.
No, that's
because
all right.
I had to be in the studio.
We recognize that. That's all right. And David, thank you so much for taking the time as well to come on and just have a chat with us and reminisce, and to add your voice as well to us recognizing Winsford Devine.
My pleasure. I'd like to do something just before we wrap up. I'd like to dedicate this one to Winston Soso and Winsford Devine.
Yes, go ahead.
Every year somebody there give us cause to shed a tear and mourn, for they are gone. Now all that is left is a faint memory, based on the theme of a strange melody. Still, we must think of them and recall their spirits with pride, telling people from deep inside, this is dedicated to those who died. Winsford Devines I'll always remember, jumping when a steel band passed, playing mass, sugary, peppery, he was never ever one for class. Winston Soso, wherever you are, compare, just for you, I come out with real fire this year. Blessed.
Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, David. Thank you.
Man, I have to tell you, you are a grandmaster. And one day, too, when the people get real smart, they will truly appreciate your art. Because you're not just a Trinidadian, you are a Caribbean man, a real genius, you guarantee. A master of this country, and more than that you could guarantee. David, your name will go down in history.
Thank you, sir.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. But guys, you know how we do it. When our legends are in, we don't ask them to leave and then we wrap up. We leave with them. So all that's left to say is thank you so much for joining us here as we celebrate the life and the art of Winsford Devine. Thank you so much, guys, for staying with us. All that's left is us to play this one. It's considered perhaps the greatest calypso ever written.
When I look around in the world, what do I see? I see footprints that man have left on the sand while walking through times. I see fruits of our ambitions, figments of our imagination. And I ask myself, when will it end? When will it end? It is plain to see, universally this land is not bountiful as it was, simply because in this quest for success, nothing stands in man's way. All rivers run dry, soon the birds won't fly, the mountains will be no longer high. And when I really think of it, yes, I just wonder why. I see charity deplored, equal rights totally ignored, wisdom and ingenuity working in accord, simply to afford such inventions as thermonuclear warfare and environmental warfare. And I wonder now, where do we go from here? Prophets everywhere gaze upon the horizon and declare that judgment will come as the savage hands of unscrupulous men defile everything passed by. Time is running out as we eat and drink species at the brink of being extinct, yeah. And I think no one can deny that the price of progress is high, really, really high, high, high.